It's no secret that Sonic is a franchise that has been around a long time. In fact, we just got done celebrating his 30th anniversary, and during those 30 years, so many Sonic games have seen releases. I'm talking original games, ports, remakes, remasters, the works. But that's the important thing about all these releases, that there's no reason to ever stop doing them. As time passes, people begin to miss those old adventures and crave to re-experience them. But with technology progressing in the video game industry, more often than not, you need to own the original hardware for some of these games in order to legally play them. Of course, many resort to other methods. But I've always kind of hated that many people feel they have no choice in the matter when it comes to this. If SEGA alongside other companies were to frequently make their older titles more accessible, then illegal emulation wouldn't be as prominent. SEGA does a decent job when it comes to the original classic Sonic games, but outside of that, it almost feels like they're scared to re-release them. So they're very particular about it when they do end up re-releasing one. But for the sake of this video, I'm throwing all that out of the window. No logic, no reasoning, just ports. These are 5 Sonic games that I feel need ports. And if you all enjoy this video enough, we can do 5 more from this, or even a 5 Sonic game remakes that need to happen. Also everyone, there's only a small portion of you all who watch the videos that are actually subscribed to the channel. So if you end up liking this video, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind later. And with that, here we go! Sonic Unleashed, an obvious choice. Now I'll go into my full thoughts on this game in its own retrospective if that's what something you all want, but for this, I can still easily say that I'd love a port of Sonic Unleashed for all modern platforms and PC. As a guy who originally played Unleashed on PS3, yeah, I'm sure some of you knew what I went through. It didn't exactly give me the most positive perspective on the game. Now I've been able to play a lot of my favorite daytime stages from that game through the Sonic Generations mod called the Unleashed project. And with a PC like mine, I'm able to blast through these stages at blisteringly fast speeds at a rock solid 60 FPS. Now I know a lot of console gamers may not know the value of frame rates because consoles didn't really seem to seriously attempt to change them until the PS4 era of games, but having higher frame rates, especially in games like Sonic, adds higher response time and even greater fluidity when playing games, which in turn can actually make you perform better than how you would in a lower frame rate. You'll hear me bring up frame rate a lot for basically this whole video, so I wanted to get that reasoning out of the way here and now. Moving on though, other changes I'd like made for this port would be for daytime stages, the sun and moon medals should be made a reward for scoring high on the stage. This reinforces the game's design philosophy of going fast and getting good enough to keep that speed going. Having to slow down and hunt for medals in these kind of stages is just backwards in my eyes and has always been. Thankfully, this is how the Wii version of Unleashed structured it, and it's just a better way to go about it in my opinion. Another change is to streamline the progression in the Werehog stages. I don't mind the Werehog itself. When it's not running at 20 FPS and making my PS3 catch on fire, I can find fun in it. But man, these stages go on way too long. There's too many moments of kill all these enemies to continue, and the puzzles are uninspired and only using the basic principles of the Werehog. Seeing the Werehog stages more streamlined so they're shorter, yet the combat is more fluid, and the puzzles allow more creative thinking and approach would be so freaking cool. A remastered soundtrack is always welcome too, with the option to have it or the original selected. But I think the last thing I want the most is a way to turn off the combat theme for the Werehog. You don't get how repetitive this one theme gets to me, man. I want to keep listening to this game's hot themes, but that same freaking battle theme just cuts it off every time a single encounter can come up. So the ability to turn that theme off in the options menu would be nice, especially since MMOs do something similar with mounts. Turning off that mount music so I can hear the area themes instead is such a great feature that's completely optional. Next up for one I think should be ported is Sonic Heroes. This game was actually my first 3D Sonic game, I believe, if you exclude Sonic R that is. I didn't grow up on games like Sonic Adventure. If I wasn't playing the 2D entries, it was Heroes I was more than likely playing. I had it for the GameCube, and man, just seeing all of the teams of 3 being playable at the same time was so cool to me. Some parts of the level required you using different characters, and others you could approach however you wanted. However, going back to this game, there's a lot of glaring factors I didn't notice as a kid, as I'm sure a lot of us have realized that many games we played as kids had a sort of whimsicality about them that made us able to look past a lot of the issues they had, as we were just enchanted by the graphics and stuff back then. So a port of Sonic Heroes, there's a few things I'd like reworked. Firstly, the hit detection. I don't know what happened here, but there are so many glaringly buggy moments in terms of platforming in this game that it can really be frustrating when playing. Everything from slippery controls to the game not properly letting me switch grind rails. It's a real problem for this game. So this is something that needs to be reworked to be tighter with a more modern physics scheme for character movement and redone hit detection for the platforming. I'd also like the level designs to be tweaked because in a way, Heroes manages difficulty a lot of times by having different teams to have harder versions of the stages, but this difficulty never usually feels natural. It's artificial by just giving players more crap to deal with, which for me isn't fun and adopts the longer equals harder philosophy. Why do some of these stages go on so long? I don't think the stages benefit from the added length. They just feel like padding, especially since we've already played these stages before, and for at least the first 3 minutes, the levels are just identical, so it makes replaying the game again for the other routes feel like a chore. Even if they wanted to keep the level themes for the port, if they reworked the levels themselves for each route so they're very different for each team, it would for sure make players happier to replay them. This would also destroy the strange desire for long levels so you can have them at a normal 2 to 3 minutes each. But yeah, that's most of my issues with Sonic Heroes that I want addressed. Of course, we need the basic 60 FPS, the game itself to be ported to all modern consoles and PC, and the option of a remix soundtrack. And this one might be far-fetched, but I did say throw out all logic at the beginning, but an integrated Steam workshop for the game would be nice for PC, as it would internally help support the game. Obviously, Sonic games aren't short on mods, but just imagine the even bigger amount we'd have if we didn't cut out all those people who don't want to go on some website for mods or find it too confusing to install them. Just going to the workshop and subscribing to a mod would be so convenient, of course alongside an official mod organizer that lets you conveniently turn on and off specific mods to avoid any conflicting issues. This next one may surprise you, but it's Sonic and the Black Knight. This is one that, despite not being the easiest to play due to motion controls, this is a really cool game. I'm a big fan of this one. The music, the atmosphere, the concept, the story, the characters, everything just exudes that era of Sonic to where he, in many people's eyes, is indisputably the coolest guy around. But just because I'm such a fan of this game doesn't mean I can't point out things that need to be fixed. The controls, like I mentioned, need to be reworked for all modern platforms and PC. This includes keyboard and mouse support for PC users who don't want to play with controller. The frame rate needs a significant boost as usual, but there are a few specifics that I want to address. It's not an actual issue for this game, but I think having the FOV, the field of view, raised will be very beneficial. On more modern TVs and monitors, having Sonic so close to the screen in a lot of moments I feel is a bit annoying, especially on bigger displays. Though this isn't a major issue, as this is definitely a nitpick, having an FOV slider like tons of other games nowadays would be really nice to see in the options menu. Being able to see more of the world around you would be awesome for this game. Using that as a segue though, let's address the controls in a more advanced point of view. I'd like the construct of movement and the camera to be completely reworked. I'm not saying the original design doesn't fit the game, but being able to control the game's camera a full 360 degrees alongside being able to move in any direction you want, including being able to face behind you and easily run the opposite way of the stage, would be nice. It's so clunky if you pass an NPC for a quest and you try to backtrack to them again. It works, but it's clunky. But going back to gameplay again at another angle, I'd like a more diverse moveset in the game, and by this I want sword combat for Sonic explored a bit more. I know this is just a port video, so we can't go all out here, but no worries, I am working on a Sonic and the Black Knight 2 concept video, where I'll go more in depth with this. But the main thing for this video is that honestly, combat is a joke, and I know that's the point so the player can feel empowered as Sonic with his legendary sword, but a lot of his moves just slay everything in his path. So if it was made less broken and new moves that force us to use them all were added, that'd be a dream for this game. Though I do appreciate those broken attacks in the Wii version because let's be honest, that game would be way more annoying to play without it. I'd also want the other playable characters to be further fleshed out with added moves just like for Sonic, but after beating the game, I'd like to be able to revisit every stage as those other characters, which wasn't an option originally. I'd love to go through every level as Blaze in that game. That'd be so freaking rad. Well, if I want to add another dot on this list, bring back the multiplayer. It wasn't exactly all that, but I don't think it'd be right to remove it. And honestly, I don't see much way to make this more fun when other games outdo the concept better. but adding online play for it in the modern day would definitely let me get a few streams out of it. Next up, we've got Sonic R. I have a feeling no one was expecting this one. Now I know Sonic has multiple racing series such as the Sonic Drift games, the Rivals games, the All-Stars games, and Team Sonic Racing. Are some of these games better than Sonic R? Most of them are, yeah. Would people prefer these games be the ones ported? For sure, definitely. But am I still gonna choose Sonic R? You know it. And the reason for it is simple. That soundtrack is gas, man. Like, yo! As a kid, I had no idea this soundtrack banged like this. I had the PC version just like Sonic 3D Blast, and man, I remember having so much fun with this. It obviously wasn't balanced though. There were many obviously bad choices in terms of characters, and by that I mean some people were 1,000 times better than others, and there's no freaking way they can hope to win against them, but I still had my fun as Amy driving her little car. So with that, where to begin for the port changes? Alright. Character options need an upgrade. Tons of new characters have been created since this game's development, so this game having an ultimate Sonic roster would be cool. Also, unlike the All-Stars games, I'd like to keep it just Sonic characters so it really feels like it's the same game, just newer. And I know this whole selection for this video may be cheating to some because a port can easily end up becoming a remaster, but I'd argue that line is so blurry that you can't truly dispute me, mainly because technically they could port any of these games to new systems with zero fixes, not HD, no new features, and would be a legit port. But what rulebook states the number of changes that can be made to a port before it becomes a remaster? There isn't one. So to any wise guys out there, don't be so uptight. This is just for fun anyway. But continuing on, new stages. Tons of new original locations have come out in the Sonic series since then, so seeing them incorporated in some way, maybe even a comparable amount seen in the Mario Kart games, would be cool. Obviously, Sonic's speed has been kinda altered over the years, and he's much faster than he's ever been. A racing game with Sonic not in a car is hard to make now because it'll always feel like if Sonic loses a race, it's because he let them win. So he'd obviously need to be downgraded from the normal speed we see him at, unless we make the stages a lot bigger and up everyone's speed to balance everything out, but that tips over to sequel or remake territory going that far. But remix soundtracks would be awesome as long as it's optional, and higher frame rates galore if you please, and yeah, that's kinda all I got for this one. And now the final game. It's none other than Sonic Battle. Yes, this one obscure Sonic fighting game on GBA. This one is also treading that border of remake or remaster, but this is my video, so oh well. But don't worry, I'll make a Sonic fighting game video on its own if that's something you'd like me to talk about as well. But the original was kind of a 2D arena fighter. There were nice movesets for each of the characters, but being a game that canonically aligns itself with the Sonic Advance games, I'd like a greater variety in the roster. Having classic faces throughout the generations would be awesome to see. A ton more stages to choose from, more dynamic sets of combos to choose from, rebalancing for all the characters, but for this one, we could also make it 3D this time, straight up making it a 3D arena fighter, which would definitely make it a remake, but for the sake of this video, let's just upscale the original graphics, make it 16:9 aspect ratio, have a higher frame rate, especially for this kind of game. Let's enhance the music too, and I also want a new special gimmick added to the game. Something maybe like a smash ball that lets out an ultimate attack. Some may not like this approach, but I'm not in the fighting game community, so maybe this is ignorant of me to say, but I don't care if it isn't as competitive as it could be. As long as me, myself, and I can personally get some fun out of smacking around other Sonic characters to some banging original music, I'd be happy. Though to note, I wouldn't mind it being more competitive, but how they approached the redesign would arguably make it a different game. So at the very least, that smash ball type gimmick I mentioned before needs to be optional, so it can be turned off for matches if you'd like. Maybe even reworked into more flashy moves in regular combat like Arc System Works games. So those are 5 currently released Sonic games that I'd absolutely love to see ported to things like the PS5 and 4, Xbox, the Switch, and PC. I feel not only is this a new way for people who've played these games already to fall in love with them again, but it's also a way for people who've never played these games to finally try them out in their definitive forms. Oh, and also more Sonic money for SEGA. Obviously, there are a ton of other ones I could have chosen for this video, so I do want to stress that the ones listed here don't necessarily outweigh the ones I didn't mention. So if you want to see this topic again with 5 more games I want ported, then let me know down in the comments below. And if you're interested in 5 Sonic game remakes I want, hitting the like button and subscribing would certainly let me know. Thanks so much for watching. My name is KingdomAce, and remember my words of courage to stay strong, stay beautiful, and always look skyward. Later.